Bry's Comics.
We got a new giveaway on deck. Subscribe to the channel, comment on this video, and like this video, and you're entered to win a CGC 9.8 gold foil edition of Invincible #1, the local comic shop day edition. We'll run this for 2 videos, and then we'll draw a winner. A little update from me. I have been way busier than normal, moving into a new commercial space. Hopefully, things are going to start settling down, and I can focus more on content, because I have a ton of great ideas for content for this channel. Also, congrats to Orlando Alvarez. You're the winner of the newsletter giveaway for October, but I still haven't heard from you. So if I don't hear from you within a couple days, we're going to draw again for the October winner. And I also just announced the prize for November, which is a CGC 9.8 Gwenom vs. Carnage #1, the Inyahuk Lee 1 in 25 incentive cover, just my favorite Gwenom cover of all time. All you have to do is subscribe to the newsletter at brycecomics.com, and you're entered to win a new slab every single month. And so this video is in collaboration with Key Collector Comics. Download the Key Collector app and use code BryceComics for a free 2-week trial of the app. So many awesome features in this app. If you harness it correctly, you can completely fund the hobby and upgrade your collection really to no limit. And that is actually a really motivating thought for me personally. I tell myself this all the time. I think, okay, what information is there out there right now on the internet, on Key Collector app? There's information there that, if harnessed correctly, there's huge potential for gains. Let's go find it. Let's make some moves. And I think about stuff like that all the time. And I use Key Collector app every day for just that purpose. Like, for example, just this morning, I woke up this morning, went and looked at Nick's picks, and on there he had 2 new properties that have been optioned from Scout Comics. One of them is in post-production, meaning the video is coming, the movie's coming soon. And he says that the ash cans are available over on Scout's website and for $10 a piece. So that one little tidbit right there of information, if harnessed correctly, could fund and pay for that app for 10 years. No joke. So there's stuff like that every single week. I'm not trying to hype this thing. I'm just saying you need to get on it. You need to get creative. You need to have this hobby fund itself. I mean, you don't have to, but why not? There's opportunity everywhere. All right, so now we're going to take a look at last week's Hot 10 and consider the possible future trajectory of those books. Number 10 on the list is Amazing Spider-Man number 50. First appearance of Kingpin and Wilson Fisk. And I would add that this is a classic cover by John Romita. Definitely one of the top 10 best Spidey covers of all time, in my opinion. It's been cover swiped so many times. It's reached the point of iconic. And in my opinion, this cover alone is just about as important as the first appearance of Kingpin. And as we know, Kingpin has been rumored to be in the Disney Plus series for Hawkeye. And for that reason, and also for the reason of the cover, I think this is a great, solid buy and investment at this time. As we all know, Spidey keys have performed incredibly well over their lifetime, and we have every reason to believe that they will continue to do so into the future. And Kingpin is such a prominent and important character in the Marvel canon. He'll be with us in some fashion for many years to come. It's important to diversify your spec portfolio of comics, and this would be a great addition for something that's a little bit more pricey, but basically guaranteed to slowly rise in value regardless of what happens with the Kingpin coming to the MCU, although that does seem imminent as well. It's always good to have those things, you know, the cornerstones of your collection be those blue chip keys that are just steady going to rise in value. Number 9, we have Fantastic Four number 13. First appearance of the Watcher, first appearance of the Red Ghost and his Super Apes. And I believe that this is still an undervalued Fantastic Four key and is a great investment at this time. In addition to being a super early Fantastic Four book, we've got the first appearance of the Watcher, who I think has lots of potential in the MCU. There's so many different ways that they can continue to utilize and incorporate him in the MCU. And the first appearance of the Red Ghost and the Super Apes is just basically bonus spec, which is always super welcome in collecting and investing and speculating with how vast the MCU has become, and it's continuing to expand. You never know when one of those minor keys or bonus specs is going to become a major hotkey. Number 8 on the list, we have Shock Suspense Stories number 6. And this is just a classic cover art by Wally Wood, published prior to the establishment of the Comics Code Authority. So this book is on the list. It's a hotkey simply because it's a hot pre-code horror book. And Dinesh provided an awesome commentary for pre-code horror books on the Key Collector app last week. If you haven't checked that out, go look up this issue on Key Collector and read what he has to say about it. But to sum it all up here, pre-code horror books have absolutely exploded in interest and price on the secondary market over the last half decade. And this is happening for several reasons. Number one, information is more readily available and distributed about pre-code horror books, whereas before it was a really small niche. For example, you're hearing about it now through me on YouTube, and that's exactly the type of thing that has taken these books to the next level. A decade ago, you just weren't hearing about pre-code horror books as much, unless you were in the niche. And there always has been a niche. Number two, the second reason is because the CGC and CBCS census has shown just how rare these books actually are. Most of them didn't make it out of their era because of the campaign against horror comics and comics in general that led to many mass burnings of comics. You've probably heard me talk about SOTI, or Seduction of the Innocent, in the past. And number three, there has also been a new appreciation for the storytelling, especially for EC Comics, and a frenzy for books that collectors can show off as talking points, which all of these things combined have created a perfect storm to increase demand for pre-code horror books. And I couldn't agree more with the last point. For my personal collection, I love hunting books that are conversation starters. And I've been known to spend silly amounts of money on a book just because it's a conversation starter, like way more than I should. And so yes, I think that not only this book, but many pre-code horror books are good buys right now. One of the most interesting things about this frenzy for pre-code horror books is that it's still relatively new. So there are tons and tons of comics that are undervalued, and all it takes is the right person highlighting it, and the price will skyrocket. I'm not a huge horror fan, but I will definitely start doing some research and see about making an undervalued pre-code horror video. Number 7 on the list, we have Iron Man number 55. This is the first appearance of Thanos, the first appearance of Eros, aka Star Fox, the first appearance of Kronos, the first appearance of Mentor, the first appearance of Drax the Destroyer, and the first appearance of the Blood Brothers. And this is still lingering here on the Hot 10, and I have the same stance as I did last week. It's a good investment with room to grow, but there are other MCU-related keys that have even more room to grow. That said, I do think that a monster sale of a 9.8 of this book is probably right around the corner, and I think it could have some serious trickle-down effect for other grades. There's enough copies of this, I think there's 79 9.8s, that somebody has just been waiting for the right moment to sell their 9.8, and so we'll probably see one come to market soon. Number 6 on the list, we have Batman number 121. This is the first appearance and origin of Mr. Freeze, initially named Mr. Zero, and a monster sale of a CGC 7.0, which sold for $10,250, up 28% from just a few months ago, landed this book on the Hot 10, and this book has shown consistent gains and has performed really well over the years. And those of you that follow the channel know that I lean more towards Marvel for investment because the strength of the MCU carries these books like no other. So I can't really recommend buying into this book right now, especially at those prices. But if you have a different opinion, let me know down in the comments why you think this book would be a better investment than some promising MCU related keys. Number 5 on the list, we have Journey into Mystery number 83. First appearance of Thor, introduction of Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, first appearance of the Cronins, first appearance of Donald Blake. And it's very exciting for me to see these blue chip keys continue to break records. It shows the strength of the market. It shows the faith that collectors have in these investments. And to me, it shows that we are just getting started with the increase in demand for comic books and blue chip keys. And if you guys didn't know, Nick is the guy behind Key Collector Comics, and he did a fantastic breakdown of the difference in price between Hulk number 1 and Journey into Mystery number 83. If you haven't checked that out, go search this book on Key Collector app and you can see the full commentary there. But to sum it up here, he thinks that this book is undervalued, especially when when you compare it to Hulk #1. Hulk #1 sells for much more in most grades, yet the characters are about the same in popularity and the books are about the same in scarcity. How close those two things are that I just mentioned isn't important. What's clear is that they are close enough that there shouldn't be a huge difference in price for the two books. I believe that the main reason for the difference in the price of Hulk #1 and Journey into Mystery 83 is that Hulk #1 has the name Hulk in the title and a #1, and that really does add desirability to a book, whereas Journey into Mystery 83, it's less recognizable as a title, and only collectors can really cite it off memory, whereas Hulk #1, even a non-collector knows that that book is something special. And I think this is ego a little bit, pride and ownership, and it's evidenced by Hulk #1 coming up for sale less often. So yes, I think Journey into Mystery 83 is undervalued. I think it's a great investment if you can swing it, and I also think that Hulk #1 will always lead the two in a comparison of values. #4 on the list, we have Fantastic Four #5, the first appearance and origin of Doctor Doom, and this is one of the only Fantastic Four keys that I wouldn't say is undervalued. I think this book is a great investment. I think it has tons of room to grow. Just imagine what the price will be when we get confirmation of Doom in the MCU. And I think we can say with confidence that we will eventually get Doom in the MCU. It's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. And he's not going to be a one and done villain. He's going to be something like Thanos, where he's going to appear in movie after movie after movie and just kind of linger with us. But the sales have been so strong for this book, and the price is so much higher than it's ever been in history that I just can't say that it's undervalued. It makes me a little bit uncomfortable to see such high numbers for a villain key, but like I just mentioned, we know that Doom isn't a one and done villain. So I also have serious FOMO for this book. I've actually just come to accept the fact that I'll probably never own it because I can't see myself paying prices that could land me a Journey into Mystery 83 or a first Iron Man key. So yeah, I think there's plenty of room for this book to grow, but the prices make me a little bit uncomfortable. #3 on the list, we have Thor #165. This is the first full appearance and first cover appearance of him, later known as Adam Warlock. And I think we're starting to see the Warlock keys cool, at least from where they have been. And it's interesting to note that several of the record-breaking sales from this week have also been accompanied by significantly lower sales in the same grade, same book. Nothing goes up forever, and I think this book is starting to level off and will eventually come back down before it goes back up again. I'd wait about 3 to 6 months if you're thinking about buying in. #2 on the list is Shazam #28, the second appearance of Black Adam in an original story, and this is the realistic go-to key for Black Adam, as the first appearance is from the Golden Age and is in the tens of thousands of dollars for a low-grade copy. And I think now isn't the best time to buy. We're likely very near a current peak for this book, and it's always a gamble to pick up a key like this after the trailer hype. There are instances where the movie comes out and it is received so well that the book continues to break records even past the trailer hype, but that is the exception and not the rule. I think Black Adam has a ton of potential, but there will likely be better opportunities to buy. #1 on the list, we have Fantastic Four #94, the first appearance of Agatha Harkness, Franklin Richards' nanny and a mentor to Scarlet Witch, and the first appearance of Ebony, Agatha's cat who turns into a demon-like character, and the first mention of the name Franklin Richards, and a monster CGC 9.8 sale of $7,500 landed this at #1 on the list, and there's only 6 9.8s in the world. But remember, up until recently, there wasn't a whole lot of incentive to get this book graded. I think we will definitely see more copies come to market, but I suspect that 9.8s will continue to be very, very scarce because it's a mostly black cover that is notoriously hard to get in high grade. And statistically, the percentage of 9.8s on the census compared to the total census numbers for this book is way less than most books. I think the $7,500 sale is justified, and the Franklin Richards component to this book just helps justify it even more because any movement with Franklin Richards' character and this book should get a little bump. It's not a major Franklin Richards key, but it's not nothing either. The monster sale of a 9.8 will likely have trickle-down effects for other grades, so there will be opportunities to pick up other grades before they have price corrected. Not to mention that we still have the Agatha series on Disney Plus to look forward to that we haven't got any promotions for yet, which will greatly boost this book. So this is a fantastic buy. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for sticking with me all the way to the end. Don't forget to smash like, subscribe, comment on this video, and like this video for your chance to win a CGC 9.8 local comic shop day gold foil edition of Invincible #1. I appreciate all you guys, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bry's Comics.